cost of using chemical weapons has to far exceed any benefit gained by anybody using it. So what's the end game in this? Do I believe in throwing out Assad out of power? I'd love to see him go, but I believe the time for that was 2 years ago. Do I believe that we're going to send 100,000 troops in to invade Syria? God, no, I hope not, and I wouldn't vote for that. But if we can make it far more costly for Assad to use chemical weapons than to not use them, he will put it in his mind that he will never use chemical weapons again. And America, and frankly the world, will hold strong to this idea that they have no place in our world. Like I said, we can't ban artillery shells. We can ban this. We can ban gas, and we should. And I think it's the right thing to do. The political realities of what's going to happen, there is absolutely not the votes in the House of Representatives to pass this thing. So if you disagree with everything I said, don't worry, it's probably not going to pass Congress. But the reason it's not going to pass Congress is because the President of the United States has no trust with Congress, and Congress has no trust with him. 4.5 years he's been president, and he has yet to reach out not just to Republicans, but to Democrats. I talked to Democrats who came up to me after my ABC appearance on Sunday, and they said, what you said is spot on. We don't talk to the president either. I don't know who my White House liaison is. I do now after ABC. They got to call him. I need to go on to ABC more, right? The president has not given me a check for $100,000. Maybe it'll show up in a half hour. But, so the reality is they have a terrible, and now they find themselves scrambling for votes. They should have done this last week. The president should have called us into session last week. He should have delayed his trip to the G20. He should have made his case to the American people. And my guess is this thing would have passed. But he held off. He went and played golf, actually, immediately after addressing the American people. And the message is all wrong. The Obama administration has bungled this like they bungled all our other Middle East foreign policy. In 3 years, we're going to have a new president. It's going to be a Republican president. I believe that. Very rarely in history does a party maintain control after 8 years. We did it with George H.W. Bush after Reagan because Reagan was amazing. That's why we did that. And so was George H.W. Bush. Hillary Clinton may have an 80% or 70% approval rating now, but when we really begin to discuss Hillary Clinton and her policies, I think that's going to turn around. I think it's going to turn around pretty quickly. So let me just say this and I'll open it up. Some of you in here will call yourselves Ron Paul libertarians. Some of you in here will call yourselves traditional Republicans. Some of you will say I'm a social conservative, or I'm a social moderate, or a fiscal conservative, or what. There's all variations of Republicans, right? I sit at the dinner table with my folks, and we're not all the same, right? We have differing opinions, but we're all family. The one thing, the one message I would love to put out to them, if I could talk to every person that's a Republican, is we can fight about differences in terms of, kind of the Ron Paul feeling of foreign policy versus the Adam Kinzinger feeling of foreign policy. We can have that discussion. But let's quit attacking each other all the time in the media. Let's quit saying things all over that make us all look bad, because the Democrats are attacking us, the Republicans are attacking us. Nobody's out attacking Democrats. Let's start doing that, right? Let's be a unified front. And let's start having a discussion about who belongs in our party and not who doesn't belong anymore, right? I want the term rhino thrown out of everybody's vocabulary. Not that I've ever been called that or anything. I'm going to grow a horn soon. Hey, with that, guys, let me just say one last story and then I'll open up for questions, as I said twice already. You live in the most fantastic country in the world. I tell this story sometimes where I was in Morris, Illinois, giving a kid a Purple Heart. He's my age, so I guess kid. Purple Heart, for his second Purple Heart for Iraq. He has a wife and he has 2 daughters, okay? When he got injured in Iraq, went to Germany, got fixed, went back to Iraq, was injured again. This injury is what sent him home. And at the point I had talked to him, from the time he'd been home, he'd already had 8 heart attacks. 8. And he's got a wife and 2 girls relying on him. Now imagine that burden as a breadwinner, right? You've got a family relying on you, and you're on your 8th heart attack. And I pulled him aside, and we started telling stories, where were you at? Maybe we crossed paths like, old battle guys do. And, I finally say to him, I go, hey, and this is true, this is me talking, I miss Iraq every day. I miss it. I don't miss it because of the violence. I don't miss it because of the warfare. I miss the unity, the sense of purpose. It makes an impression in you that you can never forget. And I miss it. And I was saying that to him, and he goes, you know what, Congressman, I agree. He goes, in fact, I called the Army the other day, and I told them, I said, hey, you can have all of my ribbons. I'll sign on the dotted line. You can keep my pension. He's going to get it for the rest of his life. He's 100% disabled. I will sign that you don't owe me anything in medical expenses, nothing. He was serious. If you would just let me go back for a year. If you would just let me go back. Now, why did he say that? He said that because he feels like he left his brothers and sisters and he wants to go back and be with them. But because a guy that's had 2 Purple Hearts and 8 heart attacks and was a sniper feels like he has not given enough to his country yet. That's the kind of country we live in. You're not going to find that in the Russian or the Chinese military. You're only going to find it here. So when you walk out of here tonight, never forget that. And realize that the challenges we have, we can overcome because we're America. F yeah. You want to run Q&A?
Yeah, well, we got some people who don't know. Why don't you start with one with Matt Hurd?
Actually, I totally agree with you on reaching out to communities where the Republican Party hasn't reached out to. So places like Anacostia here in D.C.
Right.
and Northeast or Chicago or Los Angeles, California, Washington State, and the
Your
Northeast.
city council race with Pat was very good.
Yeah. So how do we create a message or develop a message that resonates? You and I are both probably middle class, white guys. We can't connect. So we can't necessarily connect with people who have only known poverty, who have only known less than $18,000 a year, who've only known the ghetto of whatever, south side of Chicago or Los Angeles. How do we create a message that resonates with those people? Because it's something that I'm very interested in. I come from Nashville, where there's Fisk University and there's Howard here and there's Morehouse. And how do we connect with people who don't look like us?
It's a brilliant question, an extremely important question. I think those of us who don't look like middle-class white guys, we need to put out more. Whether it's females, African Americans, Hispanics, put them out more, right? Say, hey, look, I'm African American and I'm a Republican. It's okay, right? That's what we need to do. But that's just from a mechanical perspective. Here's what we need to do on the message perspective. We feel good when we stand up and we scream and yell about how bad the president is, when we scream and yell about the issues of the day. Obamacare, which I oppose. We scream and yell about the unbalanced budget. We scream and yell about jobs. What we have to do is connect that to the heart level of people. We have to show people that we actually do care. As Republicans, we typically speak in cold hard facts. Cold hard facts resonate with other Republicans. But your average voter, not to put down their level of knowledge, but they look at a few seconds soundbite, and when Mitt Romney says something like the 48%, that sticks. And they can twist that into making them believe Mitt Romney doesn't care about that 48%, even though we know that's not the case. So we have to speak with our heart. And that's why I've said we need to develop. There's actually a group of about 10 of us that are younger members that are working with a lot of these groups like Arthur Brooks and some of those to work about how to fix our message. I can't stand up in conference in front of 220 congressmen and say, guys, you guys all need to start saying this, this, and this, right? Everybody at home tells me that the RNC needs to take out ads and run them on television. Well, you probably can't really do that without spending all the RNC's money really to little effect. But what we can do is begin to change how we talk, and then hopefully that begins to infect the entire caucus as they see that successful. And again, I think showing our compassion, our care for the American people, the fact that, again, south side of Chicago, a kid's walking on the street at 15 years of age, and he gets shot because he's in the wrong part of town. Right? That's crap we fight against in Afghanistan. Should not be happening in the United States of America, much less a town 30 minutes away from me. And I believe that kid should have every opportunity to get a good education and pull himself out of that circumstance. And I think if you show people that you care, and you show them your heart, it's going to take a while, but that's how you turn this around. On the immigration debate, by the way, it's a sensitive thing, and there's people on all ends of that. I'm not going to address it. I have my opinions. But immigrants are not bad people.